123 With me next, I have Paul Bailey with the Irish League of Credit Unions. Paul, good morning to you and thanks for talking to us this morning.
Good morning, Jerry.
Can you update us first of all on your discussions with the central bank as to what you're allowed to do and what you are doing when people come to you and say, look, I've lost my job or I've lost money because of all that's happened and I need help with my loans?
Okay. Well, the first thing to say before I get into our discussion with the central bank is to say that credit unions have always been there for their members since we were founded 60 years ago. And if you think back 60 years ago, Jerry, late 1950s, time of high unemployment, high emigration, financial crisis, the reason credit unions were founded was because ordinary people couldn't get access to credit. So that's our raison d'etre. That's our philosophy. That's why we were founded. So now is no different. We're in another crisis. We were in a crisis 10 years ago, and at that time the banks were bailed out. Now it's time for people to be bailed out, and the credit union is at the forefront of that. We were delighted the other day to be listed as an essential service by the Minister, which means we will remain open during this COVID-19 crisis, and we will talk to every member who is experiencing difficulty as a result of their if they're unemployed or temporarily unemployed or they have other financial issues as a result of this crisis. We're urging people to please contact their credit union, talk in the first instance, send an email. The credit union, if they can't talk to you there, they'll ring you back straight away, in a matter of minutes. We'd ask people to be patient for that. So we're actually, credit unions have the power to do things such as loan holidays, such as interest-only repayments on their loans for this period. They have the power to do it, but it'll be done on a case-by-case basis, and that's why we're asking people to contact their local credit union. In relation to our discussions with the central bank, we have been looking for a few measures that will ease the burden on credit unions so they can pass it on to their members. We're still in discussions with them. One area in particular is the central credit register. So in the event that someone takes a loan break, a break from their paying a loan for 3 months, how is that going to affect their credit history in the long run?
Yeah.
Will that be recorded on the central credit register as a bad history? We're trying to get recognition that no, for this particular crisis, we're asking the central bank and the central credit register to actually acknowledge that 3-month period or however long it takes, when they're laid off from work and they're taking a break from paying back their loan, that it will not affect their credit history in the long run.
Yeah, the normal rules on that shouldn't apply, because that will just hamper things when people start back into economic activity after this is over. Exactly,
and we were told last week by the central bank that a statement from the central credit register is imminent. That was last Friday. We had discussions with them. We had another discussion with them on Tuesday, and they said no, they're still expecting it to be released any day. This is Thursday. We still haven't had it. We have another meeting with the central bank tomorrow, so hopefully we'll have some more positive news for people after that. What they did say, however, is that whatever the central credit register publishes will apply to banks and to credit unions. So there won't be one set of rules for banks and one set of rules for credit unions. It'll be right across the financial services sector. Okay.
Are you constrained by the capital requirements that you are under from the central bank in terms of the help you want to give to people at this time?
Well, at the moment, credit unions have to keep 10% of their capital in reserve. Thankfully, most credit unions are well above that 10%. The average across Ireland is about 15%. So there is a bit of a capital buffer there. However, one of the suggestions we have been making to the central bank is to reduce that 10% maybe for the period of the crisis to 9%, which would free up more capital, about another 260 million into the system, which would allow credit unions to properly provide for loans they may be giving out during this period, so emergency loans, so proper provisioning, as we call it, for those loans. So that would certainly ease the burden on credit unions and ultimately on members who are in crisis at this time.
Okay, and Paul, from that point of view, whatever, and I know it's case-by-case basis, but whether it's interest only or a payment deferment or however it's termed, or a payment holiday, people are concerned about, at the other end of this, how much will that cost them? Will they have to pay more because of it? what, if anything, can be done by the financial institutions or credit unions on that front?
Look, as I said at the outset, credit unions have always been there for the members at a time of crisis. They're always understanding. People will get an understanding here, and we'd urge people to make contact. Our staff, I just have to mention our staff at this point, Jerry. Our staff are doing a fantastic job out there in the front line. I know, everybody's pulling together at this time, but our staff every day are out there meeting people on the front line. They're working tirelessly. They're still working in a professional, friendly way. They're listening to what people have to say. And I just want to give a shout out to them. We are an essential service. We are staying open. We are observing the social distancing measures that are recommended. And you'll see that in all the supermarkets as well, but it's the same in the credit unions, 2 metres distance, no longer than 10 minutes at the counter for any one person. Certain amount of people be only allowed into the office at a certain time. So what I'm saying to you is I'm urging people to in the first instance, phone or email the credit union or contact them online. A lot of people can do their banking online now. Killarney Credit Union and Cara Credit Union have a debit card, and they have online services, so that's good. People don't have to go near the office if they don't want to. But if they are concerned at all, please call. You can go on to your listeners can go on to creditunion.ie, and we have a credit union locator on that where they can find the contact details for the local credit union. So what we're urging is, as I said, phone. Someone will ring you back. If they don't answer the phone, then they'll talk to you. If you need to come in to meet somebody to make an appointment, they'll make that appointment, and they will look at your individual case, and they will. And there will be no. I mean, that's where our aim here is not to cause hardship for people. So if at the other end, when this is all over, if it means someone has to add 3 months on to the end of their loan, then so be it. But at the moment, they don't have to pay it at this time, which is the key thing. So we're trying to reduce that hardship. We're trying to meet people where they're at. That's what we've always done and will continue to do. And that's where I suppose we differ from other financial institutions. We put our members first, and we always have done. Okay,
well, we have a listener who gets in touch with us. I'm just listening to your programme about contacting relevant banks and financial institutions. I have a loan with the credit union and contacted them by email during the week about getting my repayments reduced while the COVID-19 pandemic is going on. Within 2 days, they'd gotten back to me and were very understanding and agreed I could reduce my payments during the pandemic. I'm a single parent working part-time and have been unable to work like many others during this time, although I'm in receipt of a transitory payment. So at least something is coming in while I'm off. The liaison with credit union put my mind at ease. So I would encourage people not to be afraid and contact them as they're only there to help. That's Paul, what you're talking about.
Exactly, and I'll give another example. I just in a coffee shop near where I work in Dublin, one of the few coffee shops still open, thank God. I can get my coffee in the morning. I'm one of the lucky ones. But there's a young girl there, she's a Romanian girl, and she's been working there for the past couple of years. And she got in touch with her local credit union here in Dublin because she has a loan with them, and they've offered her she can pay the interest only for the next 3 months, just in the event that she loses her job. So there are lots of kids like her out there, lots of young people who are working particularly in that catering, hospitality industry, who have been laid off. But credit unions will always listen. They'll always understand. They'll always, as I said, try and meet the person where they're at and agree a payment plan that works for them and doesn't impact on the long-term credit rating of the member. Yeah.
Look, Paul, one listener gets in touch and asks the question, how will we have to pay in the end? If our loans are deferred, what arrangements will be made for us? They're saying you're not answering that question. Can you answer that question?
I can't, because as you know, Jerry, every credit union in Ireland is independently managed. We're not like the banks in that I'm speaking to you today from the Irish League of Credit Unions. The Irish League of Credit Unions is not a head office. We're a representative body for over 300 credit unions across the island. But every credit union is independently managed by their own management team, by their own board of management, and they also are their own board of directors. And they're all independently regulated by the central bank. So I can't give you a blanket answer. But I will tell you that I've had examples from many of our affiliated credit unions across the country of innovative things they're doing to actually ease the burden for people. So the key message is contact your credit union.
Yeah. Is there a balance, a difficult balance that has to be struck here between whatever arrangements put in place, the ultimate cost for people on the other end, the need for an organisation like yourselves, a credit union or a bank, to maintain their balance sheet, but at the same time not be punitive on the person, because if they are, and depending how long it's going to take economically to recover from this, what you don't want to happen is going back down the road of what happened after the crash. Thousands and thousands of bad loans.
Exactly. And look, there will be people who will lose their jobs permanently as a result of this. There will be people who will suffer financial hardships, which will take them years to recover as a result of this. And credit unions will look at those cases sympathetically. Now, yes, you're right. There is a balance to be struck. Credit unions still have to balance the books at the end of the day. And the reality is some of these loans may end up not being repaid. And that's where provisioning comes in. So the credit unions have to provide for those loans that may not be repaid. But in the main, people will repay their loans. They have a very good relationship with the credit unions. Credit unions will facilitate those loan repayments in whatever way they can, whichever suits the members. So there's a little bit has been paid all along until such time as the loan is paid off. That's the reality. So I can't say how much is going to cost at the end of it for all of us, including myself, including yourself. None of us know what lies at the end of this. But by pulling together and talking and working out something that works for both the credit union and the member, I think we'll get through it. Yeah.
Paul, listener says they contact the local branch to explain she'll be losing her job this week. They've arranged she'll continue to pay the interest on the loan only. Perfect arrangement that our caller is very happy with. So that's case-by-case basis. Again, I suppose people say they're happy enough with it. Paul, look... And
I will say the credit unions you have there in Kerry, like Killarney, Cara Credit Union, Tralee, Listowel, they're all open for business, and they're trying to stay open as long as they can. Obviously, with coronavirus, none of us know what, God forbid, if one of our staff members got it and the branch has to be closed or the office has to be closed, but it will be only closed as long as necessary if that happens. But at the moment, we're open, and that's the message we want to get out. And we are an essential service, and we intend continuing to be open during this crisis.
Okay. All right. Listen, we'll have to leave it there. Paul, thanks very much for taking time to talk to us on the programme. That is Paul Bailey there of the Irish League of Credit Unions, talking about where they're at. And hopefully we do get news, particularly on that credit ratings front and people's own personal credit rating, that whatever happens, whatever break in payment, whatever arrangement you come because of COVID-19, a situation that wasn't in your control, that you don't get penalised in terms of your credit rating at the end of it. As Paul said, they're waiting over a week now for promises that were made to them that this wouldn't be affecting people's credit union as it would in the normal course of the events. If you have